So right now there's this trend of people talking about their Bolt horror stories, and wanted to talk about one particular thing that actually happened a few months back. You guys remember when I was doing the Loliwe tribute video? It didn't go that far. If you can remember that particular video, I did it with Gundo. Shout outs to Gundo, because I just called Gundo. I've known Gundo for a very long time. So I called him up and I was like, dude, I have this idea for you to do this particular ad libs for the closing of thingy, the particular part of where she's saying Pezulu, that particular part. And this particular thing, I also want to just mention, this part actually came after a conversation I had with the Queen Kazeka, if you guys remember. That interview, I'm still going to do it, don't worry. It's just that it discouraged me because of the audio. And so she talked about, Zara actually became born again, and she was reviving her faith, and she was actually growing in it. And so it came from that, Yes, we knew Zahara as a person who was struggling with what and all that kind of stuff. But that particular tribute video came from that conversation I had with Queen Kazeka way before we did the interview, by the way. Because I think we did the interview in February. Yeah, we did the interview in February. And so, but we had been talking already by then. Initially, I was going to go and do the video with Undumiso. I think that's his name. You guys know the kid who appeared on Tulas. So I contacted Tulas and I'm like, can you hook me up with a musician to do these ad-libs? I had intended also to have a friend of mine by the name of Tandega. We went to the same church way back, the church where I got born again. But unfortunately, she was offline. She was hard at work by that period. So I called Tulas because Tulas has a lot of musicians on his thing. So I was like, any musician you can think of, and Ndumiso was the first one. I'm still gonna do some with Ndumiso. He's this kid with a really, really amazing voice. His mom is his manager. If you haven't heard him, he has an angelic voice. By the way, Ndumiso's mom actually sent me a voice of it, and so we were kind of like working out how we're gonna do the parts, and they were not sure. Let me see if I can remember. Okay, I didn't intend to put this in here, but if I can remember. The kid is really talented. He's really, really. So he sent me like different versions, and I was really, really. He was so excited for us to do it, but unfortunately he was a bit distant. So I'm still gonna bring him on. He's a very young guy, very talented. So I ended up just saying, you know what? Let me do it with Gundo. Gundo is in Pretoria, so it's not that far. So I went off, but I went there a little bit late. I think I got there like around 3 o'clock or so. And we shot there. We shot it in different ways, in different thingy, if you guys remember that video. And it came out the way it came out. Right. So shout out to Gundo for that. By the way, I want to give you a verse that goes with how I acted about this entire thing with this driver that I find with the Bolt, right? But we'll talk about that just now. So cool, we shoot this video, but it's late. And we go, when creatives meet, they end up just talking, and then so time passed very quickly. And we did many takes, by the way. And, but by the end of it, by the end of us shooting all the parts we wanted, and then we kind of like worked around how we could have it sound different, and him adding something else on top, because he's a very talented musician. Time passed, and it was like 8 o'clock or something. And so I packed up everything. The last train, I did not notice the schedule on how train said the last train leaves 8:40. And I did not see that. 8:40, 8:45, somewhere there. By the time we're looking at the watch, it says it's 20 past. So I have 20 minutes to get to thingy. So we try to get the Bolt to come through. And the Bolt says it's like 5-10 minutes away. So we got 15 minutes. I got 15 minutes to get to the train. And it's not going to happen, of course. We're a little bit far off. So we get to town. I don't carry cash, right? So because I don't carry cash, we need a garage first. So I'm like, you know what? Let me pay this guy. He goes his way. And then I'll take another one. Because the train had left already. The how train had left the Pretoria station. And so I'm thinking, let me pay him and let him go. Then I'll get a different Bolt, because that was not the intention with this guy. I just intended for him to take me to the station. The garage near Gautrain was not working. The ATM was not working. I tried different ways. I tried sending myself money. It didn't work. So he says, okay, no, it's cool. I'll drive you off. And I'm thinking, I didn't like his attitude. That's the thing again. I didn't like his attitude. I didn't like the way he spoke. So it just sounded a little bit, so which is why I wanted to pay him and let him go to begin with. I didn't just want to continue the trip. I felt like, but then, the transaction was not going through. And I didn't for the life of me think of paying him via the app. So I'm just like, you're too relaxed. So I'm like, yeah, okay, no, it's fine. He's like, okay, you're going to need a ride either ways. So should I drive you? What's going to happen? We pull up the app. The app says the trip is going to be 285, somewhere there, 85 to 90. I'll never forget these numbers because, this guy was really finessing me. Okay, cool. We agree to 290. I did a family there, in Sosha and so forth. But then I thought it was too much of a hassle for me to be trying to take a taxi at 29. Going to Soshanguve, Sosha is a bit hectic. So I don't know if he's gonna drop me at this area because it's a little, which can be very distant and stuff. So I was like, no, let me just not do that. And also, I'd be like another hour to drive. And so if I'm getting there at 9, I'll probably get to Sosha at 10. That's like hectic, asking for trouble. So I thought it's just better to just go, basically. So I tell this guy, okay, nice, cool, fine, let's go. So it was just easier to go. It's not like I could find a way around getting around this thing. So another person can say, why don't you just get a place and just rest off the day and thingy? Yeah, no, you don't think about things like that. But also, again, Pretoria is not far, so it's like an hour away. So you don't feel like it's far. At the back of your head, you feel like, I can just get there. And also, I'm not very comfortable about getting just a random cheap place between Joburg and Pretoria, because these places can be flooded with ladies of the night and stuff. So they tend to be not clean, not to be the cleanest. So it's best to go home. So that's the state of mind I'm in that gets me going. Cool, let's go. We get on the highway to go to come to Joburg. And while getting to Centurion, we find a garage. I get there, I withdraw money, and when I come back to the car, he has recalculated. I don't know what calculation he had done. Now, remember when we spoke, he said we agreed on 280. And it starts drizzling a little bit. The rain starts drizzling a little bit. So I'm like, so it's a perfect situation for him to do the scam. When I get there, he says, hey man, you told me it was. I said, no, I didn't tell you. I showed you. And that was the thing. Because I had heard about all these funny things and all these funny stories. Sometimes when I even go on Bolt, I even send myself a screenshot or if anything happens with these guys, because they like being dodgy. So I said, no. I didn't tell you it was 280. I showed you. I opened the app. I punched in the address and it said 285. We saw it together. He says, no. And now this is where I need us to gather. Listen, if you're from the streets, or if you've been in the streets, or if you've been friends with thugs, which is yours truly. I've been in the street. I've had friends who were thugs. I know how that sounds. I know the tone of it. I'm from Hillbrow, you understand? I'm from Hillbrow, early 2000s, so that you can understand the gravity of my radioactivity. What do you call it? Yeah, I get it. Like when a person means you something, I can see it from a mile away. So he talks Pretoria, like if you are from elsewhere, it's saying, he says Nadibra. He says Nadibra. He says the price and then he looks outside. So I'm like, so this guy is trying to put me in a position where there is no option. There's no discussion but to pay him. Like he's in that type of a thing. And it's not something that you can just say, like a person like that, it's not something that you can just say, hey, okay, let's calculate how much it is to get here, and then I'll pay you for that. Because remember, I still haven't paid him for the one that took me to the garage previously. So I'm paying him for that one and the one that goes to thingy. So he's like, nah, so it's gonna be about 200 and it's gonna be 390 because there's that. So I'm like, what is this guy doing? So I'm like, let's get home. This dude is and then when I get in the car, he even has the audacity to start a conversation. Yeah, no. So I'm like, Jesus Christ, this guy is a thug. That's when I realized the guy is a thug. And thugs do that. If you don't know what I mean, a thug will rob you and be friendly. So he starts chit-chatting me and I'm like, I'm not there anymore. I'm like, dude, let's just get me home. That's that. By then it's raining a little bit. Cause I'm like, this guy, the audacity to even keep a chit-chat. He wants to talk about traffic. He wants to talk about hustling. And I'm like, dude, you hustling me. This dude is hustling me. And he has the audacity to start a topic about hustling. And so I'm like, yeah, I'm just answering here and there. But And so you think it's done. Yeah. If you thought it was done when he said 390, he drives and then he gets to the door. And it didn't register to me when he said it. It only registered when he quoted the price after. Trust me, I did not pay 390. Okay? And so he turns around and he says, oh yeah, okay, we drive up. This is where you stay. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. So only after I've said yes, I'm like, why is he asking me that? Why is he asking me that? And he's like, oh yeah, it's 540. I am like, what is going on here? I kid you not, that transaction is literally still in my phone because I was puzzled at how that guy is like, yeah, it's 540. And I'm like, dude, you said it was 300. And it's like, yeah, but it's now raining. Bolt would have been more expensive. And I'm like, dude, the price we spoke about is the final price. So why, what's this thingy? So now this part I didn't say out open, because I've already read the guy. I've already picked it up that this is a dude you just stay away from. This is people that you just keep away from this type of individuals, right? the guy, so the part that I did say out of that statement to say, but I'm like, dude, but where do you expect me to get thingy? Now, bear in mind, when I withdraw, I'm conscious when I withdraw, I just take the money, put it in the pocket. And so, I don't know if he was looking at what buttons I was pressing, because I had gone for the 550. You see the 550 on the ATM? He was finessing the maximum amount I got out. It was no longer how much. Let me see if I can. It was no longer how much was the ride. He was just out straight finessing the money to get, like, he didn't even care. Like this dude, this was what, February. Let me just go back to February and go back to transportation. Yes, 540. So he literally just said, out of the money that I got out of the ATM, he was like, yeah, you can keep a 10 rand from that. So it's like, yeah, no, just for 450. It's like, hey, dude, I just don't want to talk. You know, the guy says, no, I don't want to talk. This is the same guy who was chit-chatting in the car, and I didn't want to talk to him anymore. But I was talking to him because, you know, I've read the guy, and the guy is one of those. And so when I saw this story of these girls that got stabbed, if you didn't see this, a story of girls that actually got stabbed, whatnot, but I think they're fine. It reminded me of this story. When you're in a car with someone and you're just not reading them. And so this actually leads me to that verse that I was telling y'all guys about. And it's First Corinthians chapter number 6, verse number 6 up until 7. Instead, brother goes to law with another brother, and this is in front of unbelievers. The very fact that you have lawsuits against your lawsuits amongst you means that you are thoroughly defeated already. Why not rather be wronged? Why not rather be cheated? You know, the Bible tells us we might come to this point where you take the L and keep your life. You take the L and just not be pursuing. That was what I was seeing when that guy was talking. I was talking to a straight thug. I wasn't talking to a Bolt rider or anything. I've never met a driver like that. And me, where I am, I don't know if I would be comfortable with Bolt in Pretoria. I don't know because there's that, you know, Pretoria Mahlanyen type of a vibe that I think of. And yeah, it's like real out here, you know. So sometimes it's just best to just walk it off and just go into the dark and just be different. Yeah, it's just straight out that, because some people, they are not okay. Some people are not okay, you know. And so this particular story, it kind of reminded me of this thing, you know. Y'all guys got a video, you know. Did you know that when the video came out, had the headache that came with making that video? Straight out, a thug from Pretoria. The guy was not even thug, straight. I don't want to talk. You raise, like, you literally raise the price by, what is it, 200%, by 100%, and you just, he doesn't want to talk. I thought that was quite something, but that's the reality of it. You know, these companies, unfortunately, have these people, you know, that now don't need qualifications and what, and so They just come out and they are like, it's very unhealthy individuals. So nowadays, actually, as a matter of fact, I now use InDrive. I would rather wait for my price to come than to have to deal with someone that's going to, because now we are dealing with thugs in them, dealing with thugs. And it's not the first time I hear of a situation like this. I remember very recently someone I know had taken a trip. The trip said $90. She had to pay 200 because they're thugs now. And they don't rob you thinking, no, it's straight out robbery. Straight out robbery. Y'all tell me what your thoughts are. But for me, reading the person, I could tell this is one of those you just avoid. Just avoid, keep yourself over there, and don't get involved with them, because you risk yourself for people that do not have a life. Yeah, there are people who are like that. People that do not have a life. We're just grateful to have tomorrow. It's Ricky. Y'all have a good one.